I am seriously dipping into my childhood with the recipe that I'm bringing to you today. I'm going to show you how to make an easy Monterey Jack Dorito Casserole. So, the inspiration for this dish, or the place that I remember it the most from my childhood, would have to be from my Aunt Lori. She was a huge part of my teenage years growing up, and as kids, we hung out at her house a lot. My uncle with my cousins, they had a pool table, they had a ping pong table, which I absolutely love. And it just gave us something to do. And we always went over after church and we would have chips and dip or snacks. And Dorito casserole was something that she made quite often. Another reason why I really like this recipe, especially as I've gotten older and I have children of my own and very busy schedules, it fits perfectly into the month of August, which on my blog is all about one pan meals or one pot wonders and casseroles. So it's something that requires minimal effort, really minimal dishes, so there's not a lot of cleanup. Everything is pretty much made in the same pan and it tastes delicious. It's easy to get on the table on those crazy weeknights when you're starting school, people are playing sports, and your nights and your days are just long. This is something you can throw together very easily that the whole family is going to love. So the first thing I started with is 2 pounds of ground deer. Of course, you can use ground beef. We're a family that hunts, so we have ground deer in our freezer. So I took 2 pounds of ground deer, put that in a cast iron skillet on my stove to begin cooking. I'm just going to brown the meat and season it and get it ready. While the meat is cooking, I'm over here prepping. I got a huge baking dish and I have a party size bag of cheddar cheese Doritos. And what I did is I took half of that bag and I crushed them up and layered them on the bottom of my baking dish. Then it was time for me to just get to work on opening all of these cans. I have a can of enchilada sauce, a can of ranch style beans, a can of green chilies, Rotel, and whole kernel corn. Once I've got all my cans open, I'm going to take my attention back to the meat and I'm going to break it up. I don't like really large pieces of ground beef or deer. I like to break it up pretty well. And then I'm going to, you can see that it's starting to brown there. And it's time to start seasoning our meat. So I'm just going to take 1 package of taco seasoning. You can pick your favorite brand. And I'm going to work that into the meat really well. I like to make sure that the meat absorbs the dry seasonings before I start adding all of my wet ingredients. And then it's just going to be a game of dump the can. So I'm dumping the Rotel, the ranch style beans, and the chilies, the enchilada sauce. By the way, do not skip on the ranch style beans. If you're saying, I'm not a bean person, the sauce in the ranch style beans adds so much flavor. And then I took that can, that enchilada can, and I went and filled it up with water. And I'm going to add that to my meat mixture as well. I'm going to stir that and get it very incorporated. And then I like to simmer my meat mixture for a good, 10 minutes because I want it to get bubbly. I want all those flavors to kind of marry together, but I also want it to reduce just a touch. Once the meat mixture has reduced and it's thickened to the consistency that I want, it's not too runny, I'm going to add my sour cream. This is going to give it a very creamy texture. You could also do cream of chicken, cream of mushroom soup. I think my aunt did that when I was growing up, but I decided to add the sour cream. I like it. And then we're going to bring it over to the table and we are going to get ready to layer. So obviously our bottom layer on this pan, by the way, this is a huge cake baking dish. So I know that your baking dish or casserole dish may be a little bit different, but I'm using the square one today and it is very big. If you can't tell, it just is very big. So I'm going to get 9 servings out of this pan. So the first layer is the crushed Doritos, and then we're going to layer our meat mixture on top of that. And then the next thing I'm going to add is that can of whole kernel corn. And now I did drain the juice off of this. This is just the corn, no liquid. And I'm going to put that on top of the meat. And then I have 3 cups of Monterey Jack cheese. And so I'm going to put half of that cheese on top of the whole kernel corn. And then we're going to go back in with the rest of our Doritos. And I'm going to crush those with my hand and make that next layer. Now, the reason that I like to use all of the Doritos is number 1, the flavor is great. I like the crunch. And also I have a family of 5, and that's why I'm making this really big dish. I wanted to make sure that I had some left over for tomorrow. Now it's time to put the remainder of our meat mixture on top of our crushed Doritos. And then we are going to finish off the top of the Dorito casserole with the remainder of the Monterey Jack cheese. After I have everything layered and in the pan, then it's time to put it in a 350-degree oven. I like to set a timer for about 30 minutes. Everything in the dish is cooked. All you're trying to do is make it really hot in the center and make sure that all your cheese is melted. So I find about 30-35 minutes is perfect. Then it's time to take it out, put it on the table, and serve it to your family, especially on those busy weeknights. This is super simple and it is delicious. You gotta make this one, guys. You have to.